Day for sure. An exciting time of year with so much going on as the football season ended a couple weeks ago, and we got an opportunity as a staff to get out on the road recruiting and at the same point in time prepare for the bowl game with bowl practice going on. So this staff has been pushing extremely hard, but today is such a great day because we have the opportunity to celebrate at this point 19 players that have signed to be part of the Louisiana Tech football program. Exciting time of year because I think this is one of the best classes that we've had the opportunity to put together since we've been here. For what rankings is worth, I think it's one of the top ranked classes in Conference USA. It's one of the top 2 or 3 group of 5 conferences in the country. And I think it's like top 50 or 60 in the country with what we're doing. It's the best class that we've put together here since we've been here. There's 19 players in the group, 11 are from the state of Louisiana, which continues to be a big emphasis for us here at Louisiana Tech University. There are 5 from the state of Texas and 3 from the state of Mississippi. Right next door. Out of the 19, there are 4 junior college players expected to bring immediate needs and immediate helps to us. And we've got, like I said, just overall then there's 15 underclassmen that I think are going to give us an opportunity to continue to build this program. And I say build a program rather than just put a season together that are going to help answer many of the long-term questions that we have. The question keeps coming up, are you done? No, we're not done. We're going to continue to build for the 2020 season and also for the 2024 season as we continue to go forward and see kind of when the dust settles after the first signing date and who's still available and where we have some needs that we can answer in the second signing period. When I look at it, like I said, there were, I believe, 9 on offense, 10 on defense in this class. The biggest needs in this class were offensively. We're on the offensive line. We signed 5 offensive linemen. We signed 1 quarterback. We signed 1 running back and 2 wide receivers to make the 9. And on the defensive side of the ball, the linebacker and the secondary really were the biggest needs. And we signed 3 defensive linemen. There were 4 linebackers, including a junior college player at the linebacker's position, and 3 in the secondary to bring us to a total of 10 with 1 junior college player in the secondary. So overall, when I look at this class, I couldn't be more excited about the depth, about the quality of the people that are involved in this. Recruiting is not just about talent or how many stars are next to your name, but recruiting is about fit. It's about recruiting players that fit the image of what we're trying to build here at Louisiana Tech University, build it with people, with students, and with good football players. And I certainly feel like this is one of the best classes we've put together since I've been here. The stability that we've been able to have when you look at coaches like Coach Joe Sloan, Coach Todd Fitch, having Gamble, Burris, Rick Petrie, Robert McFarland. We've had Todd Fitch, a number of coaches that have been here for a while, but also looking at the impact a guy like Dennis Smith made, maybe one of the most relentless recruiters I've had the opportunity to be around. He just recruits with a passion. I think Brock Hayes did a great job for us down in New Orleans. I think we've got some guys as recruiters that have really been relentless. And this group we identified early. Many of them, most of them, have been committed since June and have been committed here for 6 months before they sign their NLIs today. So those are the best type of recruiting classes, the uneventful ones. The ho-hum, they came and they visited and they saw the school and they committed in June. They held true to their word. They signed their papers this morning and sent them in. Very uneventful. It wasn't flashy in a lot of these recruiting situations, but at the same time, I think really answered some needs and some very talented players out of the group. Okay.
Talk about the offensive line a little bit. Talk about those guys.
The offensive line, we talked about starting with 2 junior college players up front, and Michael Goss and Xavier Guy. are two guys. We are graduating 3 seniors there and graduating Ethan Reed, almost said Cody Rossi, but we're going to keep him for another year, thank goodness. Ethan Reed, Drew Kirkpatrick, and Dwight Stallworth. And I think both Michael Goss and Xavier Guy have the opportunity to come in. They have tackle potential. They're long, they're lean, they're athletic, they can move. I look at it right now, and I look at a guy like Michael Goss as a 3 for 3. So he's been redshirted 1 year in junior college, so he's got a lot of development and a lot of growth in front of him. And the same thing with Xavier Guy. I think both very, very talented players that we are looking for an immediate impact out of those two guys. When I look at the other 3, I look at Bert Hale, Jared Gilbert, and Dakota White. Bert Hale just got done playing in the state championship game. Obviously won a championship, the great job they did over at Oak Grove. He, as a defensive lineman, had an interception, had a pick 6, which are normally reserved for skilled players. He had as a defensive lineman, thick, tough, physical, has played defensive line with his athleticism. I think is going to make a great interior player here at Louisiana Tech. I'm really excited about him. I look at Dakota White, comes from a very, very successful program at Katy High School. We saw him in the summer, got an opportunity to work with him personally. Very impressed with his athleticism and his really multiple position flexibility. Then I go up to Jaron Gilbert. I look at him, again, as a big player, was here in camp. I think gives you the flexibility to play, really play tackle in high school, could play guard, could play center. When you look at how he moves, really like his flexibility. Very young player at only 17 years old, is certainly not growing, and I think has got a huge upside. So I look at that offensive line class, and there's 5 players that are in it right now. 2 junior college players that I expect to bring immediate need, and I think 3 excellent, maybe 3 of the better high school players that we have signed on the offensive line since I've been here. So I really like the class. I think with those 5 guys, they answer some of our immediate needs with the graduates, but they also create the stability of long-term, having guys that are going to be in the program and grow and develop and really become a great offensive linemen. If I go through some of the other position groups on the offensive side of the ball, J.D. Head, the quarterback, really excited about. I think when you look at him, I think the word that keeps being used, I think Coach Diaco first used it when he went to practice and came back. And I said, tell me about J.D., what you saw. And he said, Coach, he's a dude. He is a leader. He has got great confidence. He plays the game with control of the offense. I think everybody looks to him, really impressed with him. Got a chance to watch him live, really impressed with what he does. Strong arm, athleticism, ability to move, vision in the pocket. But the intangible things are probably the things that really stick out with J.D. Head the most. Really, really impressed with him and excited to see what he's going to be able to do. He is going to be an early graduate, so he will be able to be here for spring practice. So it'll be great to have those 4 guys that are going to be on the roster for next year. We'll all be here for spring practice competing this spring. So really excited about getting him there. At the running back position, Harlan Dixon, again, very, very talented player, committed early. You look at him, he was one of those guys we're hoping we could hold on to. Real tribute to him, his character, the makeup of his family, never wavered, never entertained anything else, was just very, very impressed with the way the young man and the maturity the young man handled his entire recruiting process with. He is a 190-pound tailback, long, lean, athletic, can do multiple things. Probably would compare him kind of to a Jaquise Dancy receiver out of the backfield, but he's going to be big enough to be a guy that can carry the ball not only in between the tackles, but carry the ball multiple times in a game. Really impressed with what he can do, and I think he's going to bring an awful lot with his speed and game-changing ability. At the wide receiver position, we signed 2, C.J. McWilliams. Very, very talented receiver. Hard not to draw comparisons. When you look at an undersized receiver that came out of Shreveport a couple years ago named Trent Taylor, he may not be the biggest in stature, an incredible competitor, great baseball player, will also play baseball here at the university, was a young man that came over, committed early, maybe didn't have the million of the stars next to his name, but he was a guy that you just fell in love with his love of the game, his makeup, his toughness, his quickness, his speed, and the way that he competes on the field. I think he brings an awful lot to the table. And then last, but certainly not least, would be Trey Harris, who was a quarterback in high school, can play multiple positions, could be an inside wide receiver, an outside wide receiver. He's got size to him. He's a 200-pound, 190-pound, 200-pound wide receiver. Watching him play basketball, he's a scorer. He's very athletic, has a jump shot, but yet has an inside game. And I look at that athleticism on the basketball court and how that translates onto the football field. With his size, I think he's got a chance to be an outside receiver or an inside receiver. I think he brings an awful lot of flexibility, really good hand-eye coordination. I'm really excited about what those 9 guys bring to the table offensively and really excited about the future. We have had some success here offensively, and I think a big reason that these players chose Louisiana Tech is because they want to try and continue that tradition. Yep. The linebacker position was a big need for us coming into this season. When you look at losing 3 senior linebackers, not only the 3 starters, when you look at Connor Taylor, Colin Scott, and James Jackson, and the way that those guys have played all year, but also when you look at some of the backups, guys like Randy Hogan, who played a pivotal role for us. I mean, you're losing 4 guys out of that linebacker room that contributed an awful lot to our football team and to the success that we had as a defense. So when you go into it, you got to look at how do you answer your needs first. We went to the junior college side of the ball, and Joran Dickey, who was a young man who is very lean and athletic, about a 215-pound outside linebacker. He's about 6'3 and a half, 6'4", can run, lean, athletic, playmaking ability. I think really is going to be a guy that's going to have the opportunity to step in and compete for time right away, which is what you're asking out of a junior college player. He is already enrolled in school. And is enrolled for the winter quarter. And so not only is he going to have the opportunity to be here for spring practice, but also here for bowl practices as we get ready to go to Shreveport here on Sunday. And so really glad that he's here and having to get the jump on it with where he is. The other 3 that we signed are 3 guys that I think have some flexibility, and Kershawn Fisher, Tyler Grubbs, and Joseph Mason. They're not cut out of the same mold. I think I look at Tyler Grubbs, and you would say he's a throwback. He's an old school linebacker. He doesn't have a piece of tape on his body. He doesn't have any writings on his body. He puts on his uniform, buckles his chin strap, laces up his shoes, and plays the game. He's tough. He's physical. He's hard-nosed. He loves the game. He loves ball. It's what you need as an inside linebacker. Very active player, very aggressive player as an inside linebacker, but I think has a chance to be one of those guys that comes in as a freshman. Whether he plays or red shirts, we'll find out, but I think he's definitely going to put himself in the mix when you watch his high school film and how aggressive he is as a football player. The other 2, Kershawn Fisher and Joe Mason. Joe Mason, phenomenal young man, great size at about 230, 240 pounds. Is going to get big. He's athletic, can run, very physical football player, man of very few words, but yet he speaks when he's on the field very loudly. I think just the world of him as an outstanding young man, type of person he is, very athletic, multi-sport athlete, but really excited to see how he's going to fit into the picture or where he's going to fit into the picture as he continues to grow and develop. Kershawn Fisher, again, is a guy that did everything in high school. He's a guy that can play so many different positions, and I think when you look at him and Joe Mason, that's one of the things that they bring is versatility. Are they going to end up as an outside linebacker? Are they going to end up as an inside linebacker, the Sam or the Will? They're going to end up, the Mike or the Sam? Are they going to end up as a Will or one of the dogs or cats? I think they bring flexibility, but they're football players. When you look for football players, you look for guys that are tough, guys that are physical, guys that love the game, guys that can run and hit and strike. And I think those are a lot of the qualities and characteristics that those two bring into it. And then again, you put Tyler Grubbs in the middle and look at the immediate impact that a guy like Jordan Dickey can make. And I think it's a really well-rounded group of linebackers that are going to come in and help us answer some immediate needs with 4 seniors graduating, but also going to give us some depth to add to guys like Mackie Carabin and Alan Walker that we signed a year ago. Well, you want 2 things when you graduate. 4 players in the back end. Obviously, there's going to be a huge need there, and we came into it as we went into this, and I think we looked at where can we get some immediate help with junior college players, which I'll talk about in a minute. Then you also got to look at where can you bring the young guys in so you can manage your roster. We talked about not wanting to just build a season, but build a program, and that comes from having some guys that are going to be ready to step in. When you look at guys like Zach Hannibal, when you look at guys like Jaden Cole, B.J. Williamson, these are guys that have been here, guys that are young that have maybe not played a starting role but have played a lot on special teams, that it's their turn to step up. You also want to try and add some upperclassmen with them, which is we added 1 junior college player and 2 underclassmen with the announcement from Amik. Obviously, it puts all 4 of those guys are going to be gone now. When you look at Mike Sam, L'Jarius Sneed, Darrell Lewis, and then Amik Robertson, there's going to be a lot of new faces back there, and we've got some work to do, and we're going to need every day of it to really put those guys together to build a unit on that back end that can be really productive and strong. So those are some of the things we're looking for. I definitely don't think our numbers are done there. We will continue to add to this class with a couple more in the secondary because of the number of players that we lost. When you start talking about the players individually, I think obviously Jamarian Jones, JJ, kind of starts with him. He is very long, he's rangy, he's athletic. He was at Southern Miss. He then transferred to a junior college, had a lot of activity here going down the stretch in recruiting, but a very, very talented player that was looking for a place where he could get on the field and he could play. And certainly with the openings that we have on the back end, that was something that excited him. It also excited us when you look at how long-rangey he could play corner, he could play safety. Probably the best way for me to describe him is he's a L'Jarius Sneed type player when you look at where he is and how he fits in to what we're doing. So I expect him, JJ, to make an immediate impact. I expect him to be here for spring practice as a junior college early enrollee, and for him to be here early, have a chance to get on the field and compete. But I think he's got a chance definitely to create at least some stability at one of the positions along with some of the underclassmen that are there. The other 2, Damon McFarland and Cedric Woods, I think are both, again, very, very talented. I got an opportunity to watch Cedric Woods personally, Carroll High School right down the road. Great player, athletic, played quarterback, was a punt returner, was the holder for the kicker on the PAT team. He did it all. I watched the game he played in the secondary. right before half. There's hardly any time on the clock. They're on about throwing 20, throw it up. He makes a circus catch in between two guys, almost splits it, comes out running and goes 80 yards, almost goes 80 yards for a touchdown. I just think he brings explosiveness, athleticism. I think he's a very, very talented player. Great family, great people. Couldn't be more excited about the way he fits into the culture and some of the things that we're doing here. Damon McFarland, the same thing. Incredible young man, type of young man that comes into breakfast when he's here on his visit, goes up, introduces himself to everybody that's there, the people serving the meal, the coaches, the families, very outgoing, very social, leadership skills, targeted him early, had him on our board early. We really liked him, and he's a guy that going through this recruiting process, we were glad that we were able to make this work and for him to be in our program. I think those three guys are really high-class character young men that are going to bring an awful lot to the secondary.
And then finally, Coach, the D lineman, you lose two pretty productive players in Darian Mason and Courtney Wallace up front. Just talk about the mindset behind replacing them. You got Milton Williams back this year. Just talk about building the depth behind him in that.
Well, when you talk about the defensive line and you throw out names like Kadarian Mason and Courtney Wallace, it seems like they've been here for 8 years each. I mean, even though Courtney had the opportunity to redshirt and Kadarian did not, but those guys have played a lot of football here. And you talk about their role as leaders. Kadarian's a captain. Courtney's one of the outspoken players on this team that a lot of people look to for leadership. So it's not only going to be two very, very large individuals that played inside, but also two great leaders for us this year on the defensive side of the ball. And so with them walking out the door, you do return a guy like Milton Williams. You return guys like Tristan Allen, Willie Baker, some other players that are there. And so when we looked at it, Ben Bell is a guy that has got is going to continue to get big. He's a wrestler. He's about a 250-pound guy right now that we see could play multiple positions, could potentially be that outside linebacker, put his hand on the ground, could be an end, could be a nose guard, predicated upon how he grows. But as a wrestler, uses his hands really well. Physical force inside, quickness, speed, athleticism, has a motor, tough the way that he plays the game. Really excited about him. I think he's going to come in here, have an opportunity to grow. Dontrell Cobb's great program, West Monroe High School, obviously the success that they've had over there at West Monroe. They turn out great players every year. I think Jerry does an unbelievable job there in developing that program and the players that are there. When I look at Dontrell Cobb's, he was great in summer camps. He's got size. His weight is in his lower body. I think he's got great size, speed, power, explosiveness. I think he's going to continue to get big, and I think he's got a huge, huge upside with his football in front of him. Kevion Spears, again, is probably, in comparing him, is probably the guy Milton Williams would be the best analogy. Probably, it was going to go from 240 to 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 probably as the days on the calendar pass. He's going to be really a huge young man. He's physical. He's used the term. He's a guy that will stick his face in the fan. He is a guy that loves to play the game. He's physical. He's tough. He's hard-nosed. Again, you keep hearing that term quite a bit defensively. Just a physical-natured football player, because that's the type of brand we're trying to develop and what we're trying to build, and they were qualities that we were looking for. And that's why one of the things we loved about Spears, he's going to be a defensive end, has a chance to also be a guy that's going to kind of grow more into the middle of the line, as big and physical as he is. I think overall, like I said, 3 defensive linemen. May not be done there with 4 linebackers. I think we've really helped answer some of our needs in this first signing period. With 3 in the secondary, 1 upperclassman. I think we'll still add some in the secondary. So you have 10 there, and you have 9 on the offensive side of the ball. But there are 2 signing periods for a reason. Couldn't be more excited about the class that we've been able to put together. Cannot compliment this staff, this hardworking staff enough on the job that they've done in going out, beating the pavement, developing relationships, selling the university, representing the university in such a positive light. Very appreciative and grateful to them for the great job that the staff has done. Very appreciative to our team, because we can go recruit a young man all we want, but when we bring them on this campus, it's going to be the culture of these players, the attitude and morale of this team that's really going to make a difference to many of these recruits and parents. And I think this team just did an excellent job in helping us. And again, very grateful to the young men that chose Louisiana Tech, the bright future that we have right now. And as we said, in recruiting, just trying to answer our needs and not trying to please everybody else, but make sure that we can get what we need moving forward to try and be successful in 2020, but also in 2021.